by repeating such a conversation? My answer is that I do not have a right not to do so.
This is the most deceptive, vicious world. It is vicious, it's full of lies, deceit, and deception.
Monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice.
The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. The future belongs to sovereign and independent nations.
And now, coming to you from the realm of reason, this is the Feds, and you are live inside the eye.
All right, everybody. From Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, this is the Fed, and you are indeed live inside the eye. Today's date is Saturday, January the 3rd, 2026, and a good morning, good Saturday morning to everybody listening up and down the Americas and on in Canada, and a good late afternoon, early evening to everyone listening in European and West Asian time zones, and a good late evening, of course, to everybody listening in East Asian time zones, and of course, wherever you're listening out there on the World Wide Web. May all be well with you and yours. Now, before we get into the show today, we would really first like to take the opportunity to wish everybody really a very merry and happy new year, and sincere best wishes, of course, for health and success and all that kind of cool stuff as we reach and move on into now 2026. I know for us it was a very tough ending to 2025, but we honestly are indeed looking forward to a great year this coming year and wish for all of you the same. All right, it was indeed a very, very nice day here in Riyadh with the temperature sitting very pleasant. 78 degrees under sunny skies and very light winds. We're currently sitting at 70 degrees at just after 7 o'clock, is it? Yes, 7 in the evening here. And currently winds are still very light, 10 miles per hour coming out of the northeast. The overnight lows, we are expecting to get down to very comfortable but cool 51 degrees, and that's all very nice here for the weather in Riyadh. It's a great time of year to be in Riyadh, and of course, it's not failing us. We had a little bit of cold there last few days, but here where I'm at, it wasn't too bad. Got down to below freezing in some parts of the kingdom here, but for the most part, it was nice here. All right, breaking news, of course, coming out of, not of course, but breaking news, right? Coming out of the southern hemisphere with President Trump announcing that the United States has conducted an operation in Venezuela that has resulted in the capture of Venezuela's President Maduro along with his wife while they were actually in their bedroom sleeping, which is pretty impressive, I guess. This is, of course, breaking news, so it's difficult to read on global reactions just as of yet, but from a purely military perspective, the U.S. operation cannot be seen as anything other than a striking success. I mean, you go into a foreign country, go into literally the deep state area of that, you go in and you take out the president, you arrest him and move him out. That's pretty impressive. Now, we have learned that Maduro was not really thinking the U.S. was going to do too much, so he put half of the military on Christmas leave. So the military was only half staffed, but even still, to have a foreign country go into your country as big as Venezuela is and capture your president, that is honestly quite a phenomenal undertaking. Even if you agree or disagree, no matter how you cut it, from a sporting event point of view, geopolitical sporting events, that's a pretty freaking impressive operation. Trump was saying here, he listened to the communications. I guess you make sense. Nowadays everything's linked. By satellites, by communication links, all that kind of cool stuff. So excuse me. He's quoting here. He said he never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time. I watched every aspect of it. That's probably true. There's probably a control room. He could watch quite a lot of what was going on. He said that he listened to the communications between, where we were in Florida and out in the field in Venezuela. He was continues that it was amazing to see the professionalism, the quality of leadership, the professionalism. Said it twice. General Raising Cane is fantastic. And then he continues on. That was unbelievable what they did there. And this is something that, gee, I don't know, it was amazing. Actually, it would be kind of amazing if you're actually out there putting such an operation together. Whether you agree with it or not is immaterial to the fact of just what happened. I mean, to go into, again, a foreign country and take out the leadership. Obviously, it's a huge failure for the Venezuelan military. It's a huge failure for anybody siding with Venezuela at this point in time. But it is what it is. Apparently, the Maduros, he are, he and his wife are heading now to Washington. I understand that Pam Bondi has already put out some indictments. Some of it is for conspiracy to do narco terrorism. One of those was like possession of automatic firearms. I'm like, excuse me, you're in a foreign country. I mean, how can this type of stuff just makes me like scratch my head and say, these guys are just idiots. They're just gangsters. What do you mean they had firearms? I mean, they're the president of a foreign country. Who are you to say what they can and can't possess? Just from a common sense, logical point of view. So we're looking at basically another January 3rd operation. The first January 3rd operation actually happened, believe it or not, way back in 1991-ish, something like that, when they took out Noriega in Panama. That was actually done on January 3rd also. It doesn't match any Jewish holidays, so it seems to be a genuinely U.S. operation. Trump has said, look, we've got the country now. We can't let it turn into the hands or go into the hands of somebody who we don't approve of. So what essentially the U.S. is saying is, look, we went in, we've invaded the country, we took out the president. Trump is saying things like, look, when I see what's going on in Ukraine, I see just incompetence, death upon death upon death upon death. Nothing ever gets resolved. So what Trump is really saying, yes, hello there.
Hey, Dennis, I just wanted to warn you that you're very choppy. And we can barely.
Well, what can I say, man? It's the internet. It does suck, doesn't it? Because if it's choppy, it just sucks. It's the internet. All right. So I don't know. We can try to get a better connection, but if it's choppy, it's just the freaking internet.
Even on the phone, no. Even you're choppy on the phone too.
But you sound fine. You sound absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm just saying. Okay, I have no idea. All right, I don't know. I can just try to go
maybe you got to reconnect or something.
Yeah,
okay,
maybe.
Brother. Happy New Year, man.
Thank you. You sound great, by the way. All right.
Yeah. And I guess the Delta Force took out, or they went in. I guess that's what they're saying.
I guess. Yeah, but if it's choppy, I don't know. It's always frustrating doing live shows because you try to put on a good effort, and the technology fails you. What can I say? All right, thanks for the call. We'll try to get something fixed on the choppiness. Thanks for the heads up.
All right.
Okay, guys, I don't know. I can't see the choppiness from here, obviously. I don't know. I'm not going to do much difficult things here. Let me try to go in and see where things are routing again. It's very frustrating. What can I say? I mean, you just want to stop doing video, man. Stop doing shows. Let me put on. I don't think this is connected, but let me take a look. I think I disconnected this aspect. I'm looking. And apparently it didn't load. Try it again. Try it again. And load you, puppy. Yeah, it was actually disconnected. So we're going to cancel this. Cancel that. And let Let's see. We are disconnected there. Okay, we are reconnected there. Guys, all I can do is just bear with me. I'm going to do a quick change here. It's unfortunate. I'm going to do a quick, what do you call this? I got to go to here and do a CPU issue here. Let me check. Go to, and that sucks, guys. I'm tired of this stuff. Okay. Go to, and run as administrator. And details. And go to my voice cards. And set this code here and say okay. And go to here. All right, let's see if that will clear it up. Okay, I don't know, guys. I'm going to head on over to the chat room. Looks like we're going to burn this half hour unless he was just the only one that had the choppiness. Because if so, then screw it, dude. Don't call me. But I'm not in the chat room. Okay, guys, if we want, head on over to the chat room. That's at insidetheiLive.com. That's insidetheiLive.com. You can click on the live chat button from there. I'm heading over now. And let me go to the live button and live chat. I'm actually going now. And that sucks, guys. Let's see. And it's trying to connect here. And okay, good. Choppy still. Okay, I was saying it's choppy. Chopped up babbling. Okay, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, and then let's see if that clears anything up. If that does, let me know. I'm just doing what I can because, yeah, we are on Rumble, and they shouldn't. Yeah, we are on Rumble. I'm not sure how it's going over there. And better, yeah, it says better. I've just reset the mixer. Maybe the mixer was failing. There you go. See, guys, I'm always there trying to fix things. So, guys, sorry for the problems there. I have no idea. It was the mixer then. That was the problem. So, I just barely turned this thing on just about 40 minutes ago. So it shouldn't have been so backed up. Great sound now. See, guys, I always fix things midterm. That ain't easy to do when you're speaking and doing live radio. All right. See, everyone's okay. Anyways, guys, if you're just tuning in, okay, great thing. First of all, I just want to say this. We apologize for the garbled stuff. Again, we do our best to try to fix everything. And gee, it's not a great way to start a show taking phone calls, is it? Anyways, hi, welcome to Inside the Eye Live.
New update, you coming smooth 5x5 right now.
Well, I'll tell you, man, it's just the mixer for some reason was clogged up, and no need to reboot. It was just fixing the mixer. So let me get back to the show, unless you got something to bring.
You got it fixed. Welcome aboard.
Thanks so much, man. It's live radio, guys. Live radio. Okay. Again, it was actually just booted up, guys. I'm only set this thing up about an hour ago, so it's not like it was tons of traffic on the CPUs and everything. But nonetheless, hopefully it is fixed. Okay, good. It's fixed. First of all, we apologize. If you want now, let's just try to get the show going again. You want me to just start the show over again and we'll just kind of like take all this stuff out? Why don't we do that? I'm just going to start the show from scratch. All right. Because, hey, what the heck? Because you guys say it just wasn't working. So I'm going to just start from zero. And we're going to start all over again. So just let's have a little fun with this because we got 3 hours of this crap to do. All right, from Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, this is The Fetch, and you are indeed live inside the eye. Today's date is Saturday, January the 3rd, 2026, and a good Saturday morning to everyone listening up and down the Americas and on into Canada, and a good late afternoon to early evening to everyone listening in European and West Asian time zones, and a good late afternoon to really late evening, I should say, to everyone in East Asian time zones. And of course, wherever you're listening out there, may all be well with you and yours. Before we again get into the show today, we would like to take first this opportunity to wish everybody a very, very merry and happy new year, and of course best wishes for health and success and all that great stuff as we head and as we actually greet and move into the new year. Now, I know for us it was actually kind of a tough ending to 2025, but honestly we are looking forward to a great year and wishing for all of you the same. All right, it was indeed a very, very nice day here in Riyadh with temperatures hitting a pleasant 76 degrees under sunny skies and very light winds. We're currently sitting at 70 degrees at just after 7 o'clock in the evening. And winds are still light, 10 miles per hour coming out of the northeast. Overnight lows are going to get down to a very cool but comfortable, bearable, I should say, 51 degrees. So all in all, it's been a very nice day here in Riyadh. We expect the same to continue for the next few days. Now, breaking news coming out of the Southern Hemisphere again with President Trump announcing that the United States has conducted an operation in Venezuela that has resulted in the capture of Venezuela's President Maduro along with his wife. Now, this is breaking news, so again, we don't have a lot of information yet. I just saw it as I opened up my computer today. There was a Truth Social post from President Trump saying that the American military went in, they captured Maduro. I'm just paraphrasing here. And it was amazing. We got the best military, yada, yada. And it was unbelievable. And Maduro's on his way to, I guess, New York or somewhere, maybe Washington, D.C., but I'm not exactly sure where he's headed. Anyways, here's some of the details. First, Trump was talking about how he was able to actually watch this whole thing in real time. Now, I do believe that because nowadays a lot of the communications are linked. Everything's linked by satellites, so you'll have your like military-style GoPro cameras. If you've ever seen the combat helmets, they have these cameras, on the side of the, literally on, hooked to the side of the helmet. They can stream this stuff in real time, feed it back to a server, send it up to the satellites, and send it out to Washington, wherever it needs to go. So President Trump was actually watching this apparently in Mar-a-Lago in Florida. So he says that he personally watched the Maduro capture, which would be kind of amazing when you think about it. Whether you agree or not, I'm not saying we have to agree or disagree at this stage. It would be a pretty amazing thing to actually watch happen in real time. Now, he says here, I've never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time, and I watched every aspect of it. He says further, I listened to the communication between, where we were in Florida and out in the field in Venezuela. Continuing, he says, it was amazing to see the professionalism, the quality of leadership, the professionalism. General Raisin Kane is fantastic. He says further, that was unbelievable what they did there. And this is something that, I don't know, it was amazing. Actually, I can imagine if you're not familiar with military operations and you're watching everything go down in real time, regardless of whether you're the president or just a bystander, it would be a pretty amazing thing to actually watch. Now, I'm not saying we have to support it. I'm not saying we have to criticize it. I'm just talking about the event itself in real time. It would have been a pretty amazing thing to watch because you're going into a foreign country, deep into Caracas, into Venezuela, and you're literally going into the presidential estate and you're capturing the president of a country. Now, for Venezuela, that's, of course, a huge failure. Half of the military was actually on leave. Maduro put the entire military on leave. I don't think he was expecting a Noriega type operation where they're going to come in and try to capture him alive. Well, but that is what happened. Now, Noriega, at least he held out for a few weeks from what I understand, or maybe he held out for a few weeks and was taken and captured technically on January the 3rd. I'm not sure the details on that, but I do know that Noriega at least held out because we recall, if you remember those days, they were talking about how they were blaring rock and roll music 24/7 at at Noriega, just trying to just stress him out and get him to surrender. So he says Trump continues on to have few injuries, but no death on our side is really amazing, which actually it is. That's an amazing thing. Apparently, one helicopter was was hit and damaged, but it was able to be extricated out. It was able to fly out, so there was no aircraft lost in this operation. There were no air assets, whether it was aircraft, helicopters, whatever. Maybe they lost a drone or something. I can't say about that. But nonetheless, it was a pretty amazing operation. Now, for the Russians, they have had Sergei Lavrov has already held a phone call with Venezuela's executive vice president. The foreign ministry was saying out of Moscow. And the key points from this conversation, Lavrov expressed Russia's solidarity with the Venezuelan people in the face of armed aggression by the United States. And it is armed aggression. I don't care what you want to call it. This cannot be seen as a legal operation. We will be interested. In fact, Trump may be going live right now, frankly, so he may be explaining the legalities or whatever, why he did something like this. I find it very hard to believe that there is any legal pretext that you can go in and you can capture another country's president. Now, the fact that we captured him is pretty good, because if we were Jews straight up, we would have just killed him. I mean, they just would have killed him straight up. They would have assassinated the guy. So at least they're taking him out. They're going to charge him. One of the charges, I guess, is for having automatic weapons. I'm like, really? You know what I mean? It's like, really? You're going to charge a foreign head of state with having weapons, automatic weapons that were targeting at the United States or something to that effect? I don't get it, frankly. But then again, I don't get a lot of what the U.S. Department of Justice does, and I gave up a long time ago. Anyways, Russia confirmed that it's going to continue to support Caracas and help it to defend its national interests and sovereignty. Now, both sides, that would be Russia and Venezuela, are stressing the importance of preventing further escalation and seeking a way forward through dialogue. And Lavrov has reaffirmed Russia's commitment to strengthening the partnership between the two countries. Now, obviously, how that is going to break out now that Trump has got control of the executive branch, or at least looks like he is angling to get control of the executive branch of Venezuela, remains to be seen. But this is, of course, an obviously developing story. I don't have a whole lot of work on it. Just Trump is saying there's been a few injuries. I don't even have to. Yeah, this might be a live clip of Trump. I think this will go out.
Gee, I don't know. It's amazing. And to have a few injuries, but no death on our side is really amazing.
Mr. President, critics will say that strong action can risk escalation, but history has shown us that weakness can truly invite chaos. And
yeah, of course, that's the neocon line. I was listening to a show that I had done back in like 2016, and I spoke about this concept called constituencies, and various constituencies will use certain type of words. For instance, anti-Semite, that's a Jewish constituency. Nobody in their right mind even uses the term Jew hater. Okay, who uses that term? Jewish people use that term. So usually you can spot a lot of these Jewish angles, these opinions or ideas, by what they say, because they're the only constituency out there that actually uses these types of words, like, oh, victory through strength, and weakness is chaos, and these are things that the neocons would say. So again, we will have to see how this plays out. Obviously, it's going to be a somewhat of a power vacuum right now. I did see a video, but it was in Spanish, of apparently the deputy minister of defense, I believe, of Venezuela, stating that there is going to be no surrender. There will be no compromise. There will be no negotiations with the Americans. So whether or not now who has the guns, I mean, obviously America can't go in long term. If Trump wants to see a morass, okay, now we have heard, again, not protests, celebrations but these aren't like massive celebrations. They're in the thousands of people. So in a country of I don't know how many Venezuela, but certainly in the tens of millions of people, um, celebrations in the thousands is nothing really. You've had some celebrations in Miami or in the Florida area, again, but these are usually dissidents that were kicked out. They lost their battle, they lost their side, had to relocate to the United States because they lost the previous battle. So again, we will see how this all shakes out. But pretty
It
amazing
was slightly
story.
busy, I would say. It was very dark all over, especially in Venezuela. The team did an incredible job. They rehearsed and practiced like nobody's ever seen. And I was told by real military people that there's no other country on earth that can do such a maneuver. If you would have seen what happened, I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. And if you would have seen the speed, the violence, you know, they say that, the speed, the violence.
Yes. And I can imagine it was. All right, this is a fetch, everybody. Hopefully the technical issues are all settled, and we'll be back right after this.
listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is the Fetch Inside the Eye, live intelligent media for the politically aware. Again, it is Saturday, the something or other of January the 3rd of 2026. So first show of the year. And of course, we are wishing you all a happy new year and all that kind of cool stuff. And I believe we got the technical issues out of the way. And we want to first of all say to everybody that we are broadcasting live out to Rumble. This is something that we are going to continue to do. So you can start to book the appointment, and we'll be there pretty much every Saturday from 11 o'clock a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be simulcasting now. This is actually the live radio show. So what you're witnessing on Rumble is the live radio show that is broadcast first out onto Revolution Radio and Revolution.radio. It's listener sponsored and supported radio. It does obviously rely on everybody's donations to help keep that network alive, up and running. It's not like a Rumble here, but we just want to also say to everybody at Rumble, we want to thank you for the support that you've given the show. The concurrents aren't fantastic, if you know what I mean, but the reception of the show has been very good. I mean, last show we had almost 70 hours worth of watch time for what is basically a 3-hour show. What that does is it's putting this show into the elite, frankly, of watch time. You're talking about that's an elite type of watch metric. So we want to thank everybody for that. And by far and away, it's Rumble's been where we can see the data, and we're very happy with what we're seeing, which keeps us a little bit encouraged. Wow, news. I was thinking of bringing out something years and years and years ago. If you're new to the Fetch, all right? And we had something known as something called the Tuscan Tussle. And the Tuscan Tussle was basically a Jewish guy, a kid basically, calling up the Fetch. He's going to tell the Fetch how he's supposed to speak on the radio, what he's allowed to say, how he should say it, and all that kind of fun stuff. And it went round and round and round. And I've been thinking about re-releasing the Bob Tuscan Tussle, right? And I'm thinking, you know what? I shouldn't release it only because Bob is, Bob. Bob is it's not fair in a way. For Bob to go against the Fetch, when the Fetch was at his prime, super sharp wit back in the day, right? Before the brain cells slowed down. And it wasn't fair. So I didn't want to rub it in his face or anything. But I hear Bob, Bob, I'm promoting you, Bob. You're returning to RBN. My goodness. It's funny because so many people that I have associated with, I've helped mentor, train, not really train, but mentor, support, have gone on to actually work over at RBN. Now, RBN is a good network, Republic Broadcasting Network. It is one of the pioneers in Patriot Radio. Them, along with us over at Oracle Broadcasting, I think we had the better lineup, frankly, than RBN. But RBN has been around a really, really long time, along with Genesis, which is, of course, Alex Jones. So we go way back to the early days of American Patriot Radio. And we're really pioneers of the genre. So there was a case where you had, what's his name? Nick Fuentes. He was talking about how he's the only guy. The reason he's so popular is because he's the only guy out there that's saying what he's saying. Let's see if I can find that quote for you. It's going to be here. I believe I put it into my account over here. Let me see if I can find it fast enough for you. Otherwise, we'll just move the show along. But let me go to here. Yes, this one. And get rid of you. Nothing personal, but get rid of you. Yeah, here. Yeah, this one here. I believe it's this one. I hope it's this one. If not, okay, I lied. Not this, not this, not this, not this, not that. I got a lot here. I'm still looking. Wow, there's so many here. I think it's this one. Let me see if this plays here. It's loading now.
People will tell the truth about there's only two genders, but guess what? Transgenders don't run the fucking banks. And people can tell the truth that, you know, blacks commit all the crime. Well, blacks don't run the government, okay? And people could tell the truth about women or Hispanics or whatever. The Masons, okay, but all those people, they don't run Hollywood. They don't run the media. They don't run the Trump administration and the GOP and all the rest of it.
By the way, do you guys remember back in the day when everybody used to call it like the Illuminati, the Masons, the Jesuits, and Lee Rogers was guilty of that one. I think he's changed a little bit. But remember those days, and it's like, you know, all of this stuff that Nick Fuentes is saying, it's like, dude, we were saying this long before you. In fact, I know you've got listeners that listen to me, and it's also listen to Nick Fuentes. And I think we still remain to be, even though we're very small, we are the de facto source. People see us as the source, not, you know, this popular figure. They see us more as the source. So, you know, here's Nick Fuentes talking about, it's the Jews. They're the ones that run it.
Jews do. And that's why telling the truth about the Jews is a very complicated thing. And so people are rallying around me. It's because I'm telling the truth. And I'm the only one doing it, and I have the balls to do it, and I'm the only one that's done it in the face of everything, sacrificed almost everything, almost my life. People recognize I'm in a certain amount of danger for hosting a talk show and saying these things.
And of course, you know, he's looking at it from his perspective. But to those of you who know this genre, and you know the days back when the Bob Tuskins were the I don't know, the gatekeepers, you know, trying to watch, you know, make sure you didn't go out of line, and how weak it was back then, but then how difficult it still was back in the day. You'll see that really, no, sorry, Nick. There was a lot of work done before you, and we don't begrudge your success. In fact, we wish you well. Some people call you this, some people call you that. I don't care. You're getting the message out. You do a good job. And of course, you're saying what we were saying for years. So if you're saying what we were saying years ago, obviously it's still good today, you know, because we were true to our word then, and we're going to be true to our word today. But it's not like, no, he's not the only one. You know what I mean? He's not the only one. And so, yeah, with Bob Tuskin coming back to RBN, guys, again, this is radio. We're not doing Rumble as a video channel, okay? We're doing this as a simulcast for our radio show to really introduce this this show and this product and this franchise, whatever, to more people, so that more, you know, we can get more people understanding what was being said. But you don't have to trust me. You don't have to believe me, but we're saying, you can check, that people like the fetch, and we weren't the only ones. I certainly wasn't the only one doing this, but no, Nick isn't the first. And if Bob Tuskin's returning to RBN, maybe it's good a time to release the Bob Tuskin tussle. And maybe I'll put it up here on Rumble just for the hell of it. And just so you can see what it was like in 2012 in American Patriot Radio. Because I know a lot of people who watch Rumble, frankly, this was before your time. You know what amazes me today, honestly, is back in the day, we would be broadcasting out saying a lot of these things that are now being said, and nobody thinks about it. You know what I mean? You're called an anti-Semite, and back in the day, that was like this death, you know. Oh my God, you know, you were like getting killed because of that. And they're still using the term today, meaning Jewish elites and all of that kind of fun stuff. But hey, back in the day, it was really difficult. More so, Nick came in, 2019, 20, and it was still pretty difficult. 2019. Did he sacrifice everything? Yeah. Nick, don't worry. A lot of people sacrificed a lot of stuff. And you're not alone. You're in part of a lineage that goes all the way back to people like Henry Ford. You know, Henry Ford was speaking about this. He sacrificed a lot of wealth, a lot of his prestige, a lot of his future, and even his legacy by having his hometown really populated with a bunch of Muslims just to destroy his legacy. And this isn't an accident, you know. So, you know, Nick, no, you're not the only one, but we appreciate all of your efforts, man. We really do.
And as people are starting to get fed up with this situation, well, surprise, they're rallying around the only person telling the truth about it. We don't want to be bullied and governed and controlled by this hostile foreign lobby anymore. It's that simple. We're tired of being lied to and insulted and humiliated. No one gives a fuck about any of it anymore.
Yeah, of course, we were always generally an FCC type of licensed product, meaning that when we went out live, we kept this idea of the FCC stuff. We tried to make sure that we weren't in a situation where we were going to be maybe sanctioned by the FCC. And because of that, we're always careful in how we worded ourselves. So we would never, ever really drop the F bomb. We were a family type of show. We didn't drop it. We didn't make our fame based on profanities or anything else like that. We were all just very focused on what we were doing. So those were the days, guys. Those were the days. Since it's kind of New Year here, let's just kind of go out to the phones. Hi, welcome to Inside the Eye Live. I may have to put something on to get you to go out, okay? But you'll get some feedback. But just be patient because I've never figured out how to solve this. But I want you to go out over the air also. So just a little bit of patience while I configure your thing here. And you should be here. All right, you'll get some feedback. I apologize, but it's the only way to get you out over the air. So, hi, welcome to Inside the Eye Live.
Yeah, I tried sending you a message. Yeah, I'm getting that feedback. But I tried sending you a message on Discord that your clips are not playing. They're not playing out.
Still?
And
because
the call you had to call about the garbling, it was a one-sided conversation with just you. So.
Well, you know what? That's weird because I pre-recorded. I did a test here. Everything recorded just fine. You know what I mean? It recorded just fine.
If you were playing clips about Tuscan, none of that went out.
I didn't play any clips of Tuscan. So maybe I have to hit this button, A3 all the time,
I'm not
even
sure
to
what
get
you
the
did,
clips to go out.
It was silent, and then you responded. It was silent, and you responded, and then so I
anyways,
assumed you were playing clips.
That's the way it works, I guess. I don't know why it's doing that, because ever since we went to Discord, I can't get certain things to go out. Frankly, I had no problem over Skype.
Aware of this. We got to figure this one out, Fetch.
Yeah, I've tried. I've had multiple people trying to help me out here, and it really has happened ever since we went to Discord. You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you.
So I don't know what the Discord is, why it doesn't work over Discord. I just don't know.
And having the phone number is great, but the feedback is just it's murder.
We've tried to fix it too, and I just don't know why it's happening. Again, these are just technical issues. I don't know. I've had people call me. We've tested for 15, 20 minutes at a pop, and it just doesn't work. Anyways, what's on your mind here? Or just...
I don't know. I'm just taking it in. I thought the Venezuela thing was kind of a hoax, but I guess they went in Venezuela to liberate it for Israel, I guess.
Yeah, I think either that or the banks. America, let's be honest, they're broke. They need whatever natural resources they can get, and they are desperate.
The world is broke.
Well, the world is broke,
They're all
but
broke.
not like this. Not like the U.S. The U.S. is just dead broke. So to me, they're just capturing elements to try to just, you know what I mean? They need commodities. They need something to try to get themselves out. And you can. To me, it's just foreclose on the damn banks and forget it. Why are you making all this headache? The problem is with the banks. So just go after the banks and foreclose on them and should audit them if they don't have any what do you call it? Can't get rid of that either. But if they can't get rid of their what do you say, their state of bankruptcy, and they're too big to fail, well, they were obviously too big to succeed too, so let them fail. And that's kind of where I'm looking at this right now. And you there? You're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to drop off, let you keep going, but I just want to let you know, if you can figure out the clip part. If you were playing clips, I think you were playing clips, but nothing.
Yeah, I was. So I've changed one more setting here on the fly, man, based on what you said. This really sucks. We got to solve these issues. And ever since I started using Discord, I can't get the whole thing to work correctly. And I don't know if it's a Discord issue or what it is, but the Discord works great. Actually, it works great if we only do this, but once I added extra channel for the OBS, then I really seem to lose everything.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, keep an eye on the chat room, and maybe people will give you feedback. I know people will be telling you in the chat room or whichever rooms you're looking at that's whether it's going
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, it's always fun to try to do radio and read chat all the time, huh? You know what I mean. You do the radio business. So,
Well, until we get
anyways,
it right, it'll never be right.
that's correct. The good thing is that it's recording perfectly on OBS. It's actually recording perfect. The issue now is just to get it go out over the air. And I don't know why we have these. I don't know why. So it is what it is for
We'll
now. We
figure it
will
out.
try to fix it. But the recordings are fine. If I just did an OBS recording and put it out there, it would be just fine. If I did one channel only, it would probably be fine. The issue, I think, is with the Discord servers. And I've tried to reset the settings there also, and nothing seems to work.
Okay, well, Merry New Year, Fetch. Glad
Thank
to see you back on this
Thank you,
Saturday
man.
morning, despite technical difficulties, and
It's
of
normal
course,
for this.
Merry New Year to all the Revolution Radio audience and whoever else also is listening out there.
Yes. Thanks so much. All right. Thanks so much. Chicago Brew, everybody. You can
Appreciate
catch him live on his show. High Noon, I believe, is one of the shows. You should have told me how to catch you. But I know High Noon, he goes out with a show called High Noon. I believe it's still playing. But nonetheless, guys, we get you on the clip side. Again, I tested the recording before we went live today. Everything recorded just perfect, frankly, going out to the OBS recorder. So I'm not sure why, once again, it is not recording. You know what I mean? I just don't know why. So it is what it is. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to get the video just right. I need better lighting here. I need bigger lighting, I think, not better, bigger. All right. So, anyways, guys, we are still going out. I know on Rumble. If you want to watch the Rumble account, we're doing okay there at Rumble. And again, you could find that on Inside the Eye Live. So just go to rumble.com. I think even / Inside the Eye Live or something like that. But look up Inside the Eye Live, and that will get you onto the Rumble feed, and you can see the show that's going on here. And then, of course, Revolution Radio at revolution.radio. Now, one of the stories I really wanted to discuss today was Somalia and the Somali fraud. And the reason for that is because you're talking what a 9, 12, $18 billion fraud. And I'm thinking about, okay, how would you have this IQ of, let's say, 70, 80 max or average IQ? Somalis are generally not the brightest people on the planet. That doesn't mean everybody's stupid in their society, but they're not generally the brightest people. How is it that they could come over to the United States and they could somehow defraud the U.S. government of $18 billion? And everyone's outraged with the Somalis. Understandable. They're outraged with the U.S. government. Understandable. But how did it happen? How really could something like this actually happen? And so I started to think about how. And excuse me. And real story is that this, in my opinion, is really a deep state operation. Literally, it's a deep state operation. It's divided into multiple parts, but it's a deep state operation. What they did is they basically used administrative orders and unlocked the back door to the Treasury Department. And it's all been based on child health care, child placement. So they need a lot of children here to show that they have the numbers. And with that, they could just literally pump up the numbers and steal a ton of money. And then it disappears into Dubai, into Somalia, into who knows where else. And so I'm like, okay, how did this all start? Okay, so I did some research on it. And the story really starts during the Obama administration. Let me see if I can pull up my notes here. It's extensive. My notes are actually very extensive. the key guy here that starts this all off is a guy by the name of Eskinder Negash. He's now head of the United States Committee for Refugee something or other, refugee something. But he used to be head of the U.S. government's Office of Refugee and Resettlement Office. And this guy is the one that basically changed the laws inside the country. He changed the administrative law that basically moved everything from a government to beneficiary relationship to a government to NGO relationship. In other words, what they did is they outsourced the onboarding of refugees to NGOs. And the person who wrote these laws all into place, or these mandates, or whatever you want to call it, into place. Let me see if I can get this to go up faster. Get rid of you. I need to get rid of you. You're in my way. You're in my way. So I need to get to my scroll bar, guys. Where's my scroll bar? Where's my scroll bar? I need to scroll fast. My scroll bar is not showing. I'll tell you, my technology sucks. Actually, no, it's not. It's good technology. It's just things don't work. Microsoft. Let's blame it on Microsoft. So essentially, Negash, he's working in the Obama administration, right? So he changes the administrative law of all of this, and he gets everything to essentially be government to NGO. So once that happens, he opens up the door to a bunch of these consultants, a bunch of these refugee companies like the Catholic Charities and the Lutheran Refugee, or the Lutheran Charities. Man, come on, guys. Where are you? You're going so slow. Yeah, it's so slow. But here's my point is that, look, if you have a government official, right, and they're signing documents that allow for the theft of money from the US Treasury, well, to me, the key play here is that they have a fiduciary duty, like everybody else, to make sure that this type of thing doesn't happen. I mean, so to me, it's almost like a criminal type of conspiracy that is going on here inside. So essentially, I can't get to the story. Come on, guys. I just can't. Is that it right there? No, I can't get to the story. What file am I in? Hang tight, Wiley. I'm gonna put this up in another browser. This browser is kind of not allowing for. There we go. It's Firefox. Okay, so here we go. You have here many different projects going on here. So back in, let's see here. No, keep going higher and higher and higher. I did a ton of research, guys, and I didn't make my notes. I should have made my notes. I'll probably do it during the break and get you better information. This is Doge. Doge looked into some of this. Yeah, I've talked about the fiduciary duty stuff here. Bear with me, guys. It's just that there's so much information. So much information. This is deep state. What's going on here is deep state. So essentially what you have here is you have this what we have, this capacity to enrollment, is one of the issues here. In other words, if you have 5,000 people being fed, okay, good. I got a short break here, and let me get the summary going. We'll be back right after this. Thanks for watching.
And now we're going to get back to your host.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is The Fetch Inside the Eye Live, intelligent media for the politically aware. Come to you live from Riyadh, where the local time now is about 8:03 in the evening on a Saturday, January the 3rd, 2026. So happy New Year, everybody. I have not seen anything about the New Year in the United States at all here in Riyadh. I haven't seen anything about the things that we used to always be involved in as a citizen back then living in LA. No Rose Parade, no Rose Bowl, no Cotton Bowl, no Orange Bowl. I think those were I think it was like Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl. I forget the order it went in. Was it Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl? Back in the day, there was actually, you could watch it in order, spend all day just watching football. No way now. I don't even know who's in the bowl games, let alone watch it. But I haven't seen anything. No Rose Parade, nothing in the news cycle here in the Middle East. I would actually have to go looking for it. Nothing in my timelines. Nothing, 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 nothing. It's impossible. All right. We want to go back into this story about the Somalia issue because really what this was, unbelievable, 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 unbelievable. AI kind of is smart, but it's stupid. AI can be smart, but it's stupid. Like, why would you format a cut and paste like this? How stupid can you be? Duh. That was just plain dumb. All right. Amazing, actually. I can't believe it did that. Okay, excuse me. All right. Let's see. Do I have it? I don't have it because it was formatted so bad. You guys gotta be kidding me. You guys gotta be kidding me. All right, let's try it again. That's Russia. All right, let's go back. June. That's terrible, terrible radio. All right, it's June 2015, everybody. There's a DC office, the Office of Refugee Resettlement Program, something like that. The director's name, Mr. Eskinder Negash. Now, Eskinder is not American. He's actually an Eritrean African guy coming from Eritrea, or he may have been part of Ethiopia, but I believe he came from Eritrea. He's working on an HHS, Health and Human Services Information Bulletin. And it may sound kind of boring to people out there, but this is actually the very skeleton that puts the whole project into play. It redefines housing search as a medical expense. That's where it starts. You redefined housing as a medical expense. Now, how he goes about and does that, why people let him get away with it, and then it balloons in an $18 billion theft of the national treasury, who knows? But this is part of the woke generation we live in where words don't have meanings anymore. Everything is separated. This is the Chomsky logic here, where words are separated from meaning. And now you can just make things out to mean whatever you feel like you want it to mean because, hey, that's just, hey, and there's no meaning anywhere. That's the crackhead stupidity we have based on the current modern linguistic schools. There's no common sense. In other words, Chomsky and his cohorts, his Jacobsonian linguistic schools, and all uh, these expat or these immigrant networks that came over from Europe and rechanged or reconfigured Western linguistics. Part of it is the redefinition of everything, where you take away meaning from anything. So this guy, he redefines once again housing search, okay, as a medical expense. Yes. Now, once that gets accepted, you can then claim you're helping people get resettled. You could then say that, okay, well, we're helping them get resettled, but this is a medical expense. Now you can start to defraud Medicaid, the various health services out there by the states, etc. So what happens though is that this isn't just being done by one person. So first the guy Negash, he does this little ploy. It's now a medical expense. So now the NGOs step in. These are the big three, which is the Hebrew Immigration Assistance Service or something like that, the Lutherans and the Catholic Charities. They begin moving from basically what they consider to be traditional charity to literally logistics companies. They're the ones handling now the bulk. Because also as part of this change, they took away the ability of the federal government, or they took away the need of the federal government to actually check every single person. They divorced the government from the people. It all had to go now through the charities, which of course would be your big three. It's just there were 9. Excuse me, there were 9 total that were kind of big, but the 3 big was highest, the Lutherans and the Catholic charities. So they have like this database of 120,000 people that they're going to eventually build out, and these are now going to become billable assets to the charities. Now, between 2019 and 2020. Now, see, this is all going on, and it's all being test run in Minnesota during this time. So they're setting up the logistics, they're getting everything ready, and they're setting up. So once 2019 and 20 comes along, but mainly 2019, what they set up was this network of consultants, and these were known as a master consultant. And what they did, they packaged in the prepackaged fraud, because this was they basically opened up the Treasury from the backside, and they now have a back door to the Treasury. Every time you help someone find housing, refugees, okay, you can now bill for that to Medicaid and Medicare because it's now a medical expense. So you have all these state insiders inside of Minnesota, obviously probably a lot of Democratic operatives. They start creating these what we call extraction templates. And there's also something that we call extraction zones, which would be Minneapolis, St. Paul, and some of these other cities where the Somalis are deeply concentrated. So they sell what really that some people could call a heist in the box, because it's just theft. Now, you've heard statements from the Somalian community that the Somalis are victims of white supremacy, yada, 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 yada. They're victims in the same way that a street drug dealer is a victim. You know, as that street drug dealer knows he's doing something wrong, but he's just a small cog in the wheel. So if he gets caught, nobody gets caught at the next layer, then the next layer, and then the next layer. He just takes the hit. He's taken down. That's the Somalis. They're essentially victims, if you want to use that stupid term because it's incorrect, but they're victims in the same way that a street drug dealer gets treated very harshly, but the people above him are just kind of like glossed over. It's the same thing, except instead of drugs, it's housing for immigrants or refugees. So what happens here is these master consultants, they don't provide any care whatsoever. But they can then start to get doctors to kind of like declare things like there were programs for like autism, finding homes for kids with autism, right? So they would like get doctors to kind of like sign off on this stuff. But ultimately, it still went through the NGO, not even the doctor. So they're selling this heist in a box. They're taking a 30% cut, something like that. So then COVID comes along. That was July 2020. And under the cover of COVID, what Governor Walz did is he activates what was called the housing stabilization spigot. And so what he did is because everything is shut down, nobody can do any on-site verification of what's going on. So now they can just rush, start getting all these people onboarded and start to steal as much money as fast as they can because nobody can actually physically go check anything. Everything was approved based on spreadsheets. There's no verification. There's nothing to prove that everything is okay. There's no metrics to say, are the numbers correct? Like there's, for instance, KPMG, I believe, was one of the big consulting companies. Why didn't they put software in place that would catch this type of stuff? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so maybe KPMG is actually a party to the fraud here, which is kind of starting to look like a RICO type of syndicate. So the peak of all of this was, of course, when the borders were open, 22 to 24. And a big story broke out of Minnesota called Feeding Our Future. It breaks out. It's just the tip of the iceberg, though. And $9 billion total they found have been siphoned off. The housing consultants now, we need to find out who the housing consultants were. Where did the money go? We don't know. We do know this, that these charities, especially Hias was very clever. Hias is the Jewish side. They didn't actually do as many people as, say, Catholic Charities, where Lutherans were strong. As you know, Lutherans is a big Nordic style religion. So they have a very strong, let's say, base in some parts of Minnesota. So they actually moved quite a lot of people there. But Hias set up these like welcoming families. So they that moved the fraud off of Hias and into private, like 7 to 8 individuals inside a specific area or target area or extraction zone. So what that did, it was very clever. It looks like all of the legal fraud that's going on isn't being done by Hias itself, because the people doing the onboarding was not Hias. It was these small groups of Jewish people that were signing everybody up. And even still, they signed up something like 25,000 people. So what happens though is that by December the 14th, something like that, December the 15th, already this is under investigation by the feds. They've kind of got a handle on it. They're starting to narrow. They're starting to circle. Already the NGOs have pivoted. They charged the federal government and the state government a ton of money for what went on in Minnesota. Then they moved the same migrants or refugees or whatever you want to call them to Maine, to Illinois, Ohio, and they start doing the same racket again. They found the loopholes in the health services, and they just did the same racket, billing for the same people that they billed for in Minnesota. So that's why you're seeing all these movements going on. They're literally just taking this block of Somalis. They're the front group. They're going in as the extraction agent, but the people behind it are the consultants. And then the next layer would be the NGOs. Then the layer behind that would be people in Washington. For instance, how's all this money leaving the country? There are like do not contest orders being sent out. So you have people flying out of Minneapolis, St. Paul with suitcases full of money, sometimes $10,000, $15,000, $100,000, $1 million. Why are they being allowed to leave with all this money? Well, they have do not contest letters. This is all government reimbursement. Let it go. Just let it go. So somebody somewhere was writing the ticket to allow all this money to leave the country. So this wasn't just a Somali operation, is what we're trying to say here. This was an operation that literally was being done literally at the deep state level. Literally. You have Negash, he writes it. He goes on to head up an NGO, which he wrote the regulations for. His organization goes from like $4.5 million to almost $500 million in 6 years. All right. He wrote the regulations. He wrote the loopholes. But the reality of it is this with this fraud. They don't have a right to steal this money. Appropriations come from the Congress. What they did is they just redefined everything so that everybody can say, well, this is what it means now. And then they just started stealing the money through redefinitions of the back doors. And that's kind of what happened here. We are talking about massive theft on a deep state level. Now, how much of that money went into fund, let's say, black ops in North Africa or the Horn of Africa? Who knows? It's some, yeah, they're talking about some getting into Somali, quote unquote, terrorist groups already, probably financed or controlled by CIA. Okay, fine. So CIA is probably involved. Where else did the money go? It's going into Dubai. As we all know, in Dubai is like a gold haven. You can go into Dubai and just clean your money very fast. Just buy a bunch of gold. No questions asked. Just buy the gold. Great stuff. Got hard currency. Prices keep going up because all this money is coming out of the country. And really, it's kind of amazing what's happening because the theft, it was literally baked in. I mean, the Somalis were taught how to do it, if you know what I mean. They're literally being taught how to do it. And they're being sold the template. When you look at some of these billing, some of the billing on some of the receipts out there, it's the same template. And the same templates used by multiple people. So therefore, the Somalis weren't even taught how to do it themselves. They bought this ready-made extortion / extraction / heist, I guess, mill. And it was all being done with mainly with the Somali migration population. For instance, in 2022, the country is still pretty much down. We allowed something like 60,000 Somalis into the country. Well, why would you do that? Well, number one is demographics, 100%. Number two, you need to inflate your books. So, excuse me, when you look at all of this that was going on as a money extraction scheme, all of this open borders policy stuff starts to make sense because there are programs to extract money for kids, children, for autism. They were finding a home. You know, you're talking about extracting $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 per person just to extract money. When they went to Maine, it was a special vouchers in the hotels or the motels. So the motels are even giving kickbacks. We'll give you a finder's fee. For any Somali you bring in, we'll give you a finder's fee. So when we look at the totality of what this is, whether or not the hearings, which are going to be coming up, I guess, the 7th of this week, January the 7th, they're going to be able to start to get to the bottom, to some of this. Who knows? Will there be any arrests? Who knows? In fact, my theory is that this Shirley guy, the guy who put out the viral video just on December the 26th, I believe it was, it's just part of the narrative. You know what I mean? It's just part of it. They were already, the whole case essentially had already been built before then. So it's like, there's just no way, in other words, that things are just happening by accident. You know, what they were doing, for instance, in Minnesota is like, they tried to put a stop to it. And the courts, they went to court, and the courts, what the Somalis were doing were suing for, let's say, racial issues. It's like, fucking hell. So for racial discrimination, and then you got Jewish, some Jewish, not all, judges saying, yeah, that's right, keep the checks flowing. So there were complaints about this. Now, there were some whistleblowing going on, but the whistleblowing wasn't allowed to go through because people like X were censoring it. So, Elon Musk can say what he wants, but he should talk to his own staff. Who was censoring this story? Who was blackballing this story from getting out? Because from what we understand, one of the main whistleblower organizations, which consisted of or just say groups, which consisted of Minnesota staffers who were complaining and trying to bring the story out. Their account was actually throttled and it was actually removed. It was deleted, not deleted, but it was taken down. It was reinstated about 2-3 days later. But okay, Musk, who was responsible for that? And the judges are running cover for this when they're saying keep the money flowing. Okay, what are they saying? Yeah, we know it's a fraud, but keep the money going. So this was RICO. This is RICO level, and it's not just the Somalis. The Somalis are like they're just the kids on the street. Oh, look at him! He's got $2,000 glasses. Come on, you're talking billions, dude. Some of them have Bentleys. Okay, yeah, but you're talking billions, literally billions. And so it's like this isn't just the Somalis. The Somalis didn't open up the back door to the Treasury. Somebody else did that. The Somalis didn't keep the courts open. Somebody else did that. This was literally an entire money extraction, wholesale theft of the U.S. Treasury from the deepest levels, all the way from the Office of Refugee Resettlement Program with Nagash. I mean, he writes all these programs that allows the doors to be open. Then he becomes a director of an NGO that's basically now going to make $500 million on the regulations that he wrote about and basically put into play that allows all this to happen. So literally, guys, it's a fraud, but it's massive because of this. This human shield, this thing falling under racial equity, this woke nonsense, racial equity. Negash, the guy, he's big with racial equity and equality and diversity and all this crap. Just another woke politician using literally wokeism to steal money from the National Treasury. And he didn't do it by just walking in and stealing. He created the mechanism that allowed the back door to be open. He has no legal right to actually do what he did. You just can't just go write a regulation that all of a sudden now you can just start stealing Medicaid money. To me, Negash should be literally taken out today, tomorrow. Just arrest the guy. He's the architect. He's one of the main architects of this whole damn thing. He should not be allowed to be walk free. There should be, restitution, clawbacks from this guy. His corporation made $500 million on policies that he wrote that allowed the money to be stolen from the National Treasury. Because that's what this is, guys. It's just a backdoor theft of the National Treasury. Literally, it's like they opened up the doors and they said, come on in. You're welcome. Lots of money here. Get your hats out, fill it with as much as you can, and away we go. And that's what happened in a nutshell. They just did that. And so, to me, I'm okay because now we know this was a money extraction scheme. So literally, the entire Somali community, as far as I'm concerned, from 2018 on. You could round them all up, denaturalize them, send them all back. They were literally part of a theft scheme. Now, not saying that the individual families were, but they were used as numbers to allow the fraud to happen. You couldn't enroll 5,000 kids if you didn't have a lot of Somalis here. So you had to have a lot of Somalis. So what you did is you went in, you gave, let's say, one name, but then you multiplied, the charity would give you one name. That one name might have been valid. But then they taught them, well, if it's one name, they have families. So then you could just go ahead and register 3, 4, 5 more people, 6 more people, 10 more people. Next thing you know, the Feed Our Family was billing for 5,000 meals a day. Well, where's the software that would have flagged that as being fraudulent? It's impossible to feed 5,000 kids a day in the city, the zip code, or the zone where this was all happening. It was impossible. So who wrote the software that allowed this to even happen? Was it KPMG? Was it state coders? I mean, who wrote the software? Who bought it off? And you see what I mean? The theft, it's, in other words, when you are playing with other people's money, okay? And you're let's say you're not an investor, but you're corporate director of a company and somebody gives you a ton of money, you have a fiduciary duty to make sure that that money is well protected. You just can't let people steal it on the back door. It's The Fetch, everybody. Back with more right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. It is Fetch Inside the Eye Live, intelligent media for the politically aware. Again, we're coming to you again from Riyadh, capital of Saudi Arabia. And I just want to say hello to everybody again in the Rumble, where you were watched in Rumble now. And so cool for that. Thank you so much for supporting the platform over there. We'd like to build that up. And of course, at Revolution Radio, listener sponsored and supported radio, it does rely upon everybody's donations to help keep that network up and running. We apologized earlier, but we're doing well with the technology right now. So that's all a very, very, very good thing. I'm going to play a clip here only because, hey, I want to. And I want to see if it actually goes out. Let's see if we fix the clip issue. It's going to be again the Nick Fuentes. If I can do the Nick Fuentes thing, do I still have it open? I don't think so. I don't think I have it open. So let me try. I can't believe they actually went in and did Maduro. They captured Maduro. Yeah, they actually captured the guy. Wow. What a and of course, if you look at the feeds now, it's like number one everywhere. Maduro arrested. Maduro arrested. Maduro arrested. Okay, good. But you know what I mean? This is like par for America, man. Gangster geopolitics, as I've been saying. Where else? Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. What I don't like about American patriots here. You got here like statements like Nicolas Maduro had his chance, he effed around, and he found out. Well, first of all, it's Venezuela is a sovereign country. You know what I mean? Since when is it a part of international law that you can go into a country and essentially capture a head of state that's elected head of state, and you get to charge him with whatever because whatever, and you think that's okay? I mean, now give the Americans once again credit. They captured him and the wife because if it were the Israelis, the Jewish people, they just would have bombed the shit out of it, wiped out maybe 30, 40 residential buildings in the immediate area if they were around, and killed another 40, 50, 60, 70, even up to 400 people. They would have figured that's acceptable because, well, it's a high value target. So killing 400 innocent people is acceptable when you're getting a high value target. That's actually how it works in Israeli Jewish thinking. So give Trump credit for that. At least he did at least go in and not kill everybody, which is like normal. How many people he killed in the process, we don't know. But again, this wasn't bloodless, if you know what I mean. He went in and they killed some people. Bottom line, it's not like this is just rah type of game here. No, people died because Trump made a decision to go after somebody, and whether or not again, that's even legal, who knows? But again, in a might makes right world, which is how Jewish geopolitics plays, it's acceptable. You can do what you want because nobody can stop you. And that's kind of what Trump's message is. We have the strongest military in the world and nobody can stop us. And we did what we're going to do. And if you don't like it, too bad, because we just did it. All right. Chat room again. If you want to join us in the chat room, it's at insidethelive.com. Click on the live chat button. There's also a live chat over on the Rumble stream. And what else? Telephone lines 213-401. That's 213-401-2617. That's 213-401-2617. That'll get you in the door there. All right. Let's see. What else is kind of news? Obviously, Zelensky was in town. You had Netanyahu in town. And the Epstein files and all this kind of stuff gets out. And I couldn't understand really, you're going to go after a Maduro, but you won't take out a Netanyahu. Now, for the Hopium crowd, if you believe in the Hopium system here, that would be, just in the plan. It's really working. Believe us, the plan's working great. It can't get any better. We're saving Israel for last. Don't worry, we're saving Israel for last. But there was a very interesting Truth Social that Trump put out. And you have to think this is why perhaps the Hopian people still believe. But he puts out at 9/11, okay, 9/11 timestamp. And it appears to be what is a screenshot of a windmill that is actually an Israeli windmill. And it's captioned here something to the effect of windmills are killing all of our beautiful bald eagles. And in the front of the picture is a falcon, which is more native to the Middle East here. But it's like people are like, wow, why did Trump put that statement out on 9/11 about windmills killing our beautiful eagles? And the windmills are clearly Jewish. So it's like, the people that are behind that, meaning the Hopian people, that's like a clue, man. Absolutely a big clue. As you know, we like to bring up a lot of the COVID stuff because we have experienced a lot of people dying in our circle. But there was a Big Brother star. I don't know the company, the show called Big Brother. And there was a star. Her name was Mickey Lee. Mickey Lee. She's 35. She passed away tragically. They don't know why. Suddenly and unexpectedly, Mickey Lee, star of Big Brother, dies at 35. So there you have it. It just never ends. It never, ever ends. There's a British guy. I think we talked about this maybe before, but 18 months in prison for basically posting hate speech online. We talked that story last week. And then you've got like some of the, I don't know what you want to call it. I hope this clip goes out. But this is J.D. Vance. Of course, it might help if I unmute it, huh?
In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
Now, obviously, that statement, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore, coming from Vance. That's the new politics. That is a pandering, let's be honest, to people even like us, you know what I mean, who speak this language, how, whites are under attack, this and that. So Vance is coming out saying you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And of course, that may strike some people out there as being racist, yada, yada. But look, I've never known anybody in the Chinese community that wasn't proud to be Chinese. In fact, they're very proud to be Chinese. And I don't know anybody that is of any ethnicity that's not proud of their ethnicity. And yet we have created a circumstance or an environment, really, in the United States where you almost have to shy away from being quote unquote white. So again, to hear Vance say something like that, again, this is still on the national stage, everybody. Whether or not he means it or not, I don't know. But the fact that it is being, let's just say, floated on the national stage is a remarkable change from, let's say, 5 years ago. Who would have thought type of thing? I never would have thought that. Charlie Kirk, of course, has been in the news a lot due to Candace Owens. A lot. Here's one of his last speeches. And by the way, let me go to the chat room and ask, did that clip go out? Did that clip go out, guys? Did the clip go out? The enter button, it's slow to respond. So I hope the clip went out because that'll make things easier. I can play some of these clips. I don't see. Did the clip go out? Just waiting, guys, so I don't play more clips for nothing. It did. Okay, good. So the clip did go out. It's actually fine if I go. I think it goes out on Rumble. It doesn't go out on the radio show also. All right, so here's a clip coming out of Charlie Kirk. And really what I think happened here was this. Charlie Kirk had built one of the most powerful political movements for his demographic going today inside of America. His wife was not his wife. His wife was his handler. And she couldn't handle him anymore. She went saying, look, this guy's gone off the rocks. There's no way I can control him anymore. He's going to throw us all out the door. And here's this giant political movement. And they're going to take this entire political movement and they're going to turn it against Israel. And we got to do something and do something fast. And that's what they did. They basically executed him live on stage type of thing. But here's what he had to say about what's going on to his generation during just leading up to his assassination.
Because you know you are part of something bigger than yourself. You know that you are part of the most exciting, diverse, powerful movement in the history of this country. And this movement is not about Republican or Democrat. This movement is not about conservative or liberal. And I think you're going to see that on display in a little bit, just maybe. This movement is about the citizens versus the oligarchs. This movement is about we the people versus the ruling class. This movement is about America versus the globalists. This movement is about all of us against them.
Yeah, now if you're going to go out live with this, got a roaring standing ovation, by the way. So it's kind of like what we show with Trump talking about how, the world doesn't belong to globalists. It belongs to patriots. It belongs to nationalists type of thing. But Trump isn't living it. You know what I mean? He's not living it. He is still a globalist. He's still very much in line with the Israeli project. By default, this really harms his interests. Now, from what I have understood about what's going on in America, and I don't know for a fact because I'm not there, and I get my information from social media, videos, etc. There's a huge core now of people that voted for Trump, and they got nothing. They see they got nothing. This guy played them. Trump has lost so much political capital among the people. And of course, there are the groups out there, the opium crowd, etc., that believe that Trump is the second coming of Christ and he's going to save everybody. Trust the plan. But the reality of it is Trump, by all indications, is a geopolitical gangster. Bottom line. Why he went into Venezuela, for instance, we don't know. Why he thinks he can sanction Russia to death and now he doesn't want to do it anymore, okay, fine. Why he thought he can go after China the way he did, okay, who knows. The fact of the matter is he's gone after everybody. And he wants to believe that Americans have been taken advantage of. America was cheated. A lot of that may have been true, but how did it happen? It happened because of his friends sitting next door. The guys inside the banking suites, inside of the massive Jewish corporations, they're the ones that sold out America. And everybody kind of gets that, except for Trump. Here he's going in, he's taking out Maduro, all these assets being spent, but you got the biggest war criminal in the world sitting right next to you in the way of Netanyahu, and you're basically throwing a party with this guy on New Year's Eve, welcoming him for the New Year's. And somehow Americans are not supposed to see us as being occupied. And that's kind of where this is all going now. Because of a lot of Americans, a lot of Americans don't see America as being American anymore. They see it as being an occupied government. Straight up. Israel runs America. Jews run America. Now, Jews can say all they want about, that's an anti-Semitic trope, yada, yada, yada. But nobody gives a shit about Jews anymore. Nobody's calling them out, that they're just a bunch of lying pieces of what. But at the same time, it's like nobody cares anymore. the issue is, how do we get the country back on track? You can't if you have the same leadership. If you have the same people still pulling the strings. My goodness, the Somali fraud guys literally opened up the treasury. Would you really, excuse me, break it down? They just opened up the back door to the treasury, said, come on, bring in your wheelbarrows, bring in your dump trucks, fill it up with as much cash as you can and drive away. That's what this Somali thing was done. Somalis didn't do that. They just were told how to do it. And of course, why not? If you're from a class that's not very ethical, you think you're marginalized, you've got the cover of, let's say, the racism card to keep you from being assaulted and attacked legally, and so you can just steal. And if they catch you, you just counter-sue them for racial discrimination. Then you got judges that are going to sit there and actually say, yeah, that's true, racial discrimination, and keep the fraud going. Okay, you're going to keep it going. But what's interesting is there weren't any heritage Americans here. It's all NGOs, Jewish people. For instance, Hayes, my goodness, they were responsible for shifting a ton of people into Minneapolis. And that's what was going on. They were shifting people into Minneapolis so they could actually extract more money. They turned these areas, these zip codes, into literal extraction zones, which is unbelievable, but that's exactly what happened. Now, moving over to Iran. Iran, we've seen a lot of unrest as of late. A lot of protests, and it's really hard to get the truth because social media is such that it sells you probably a lot of force multiplier type of stories. The regime is finished. The police stations are all under the hands of the protesters. The Iranians are rising up. Then you go to another channel, you find it's like maybe 2,000 people. You find that maybe 40, 50 people assaulted the police station. You find that maybe there was 3 assaults. 2 of them actually didn't make it through. The third one did. But by the time you read the story, the station was already cleared. It's done, it's finished. So it's like, okay. So you can't tell by social media. You do hear things from the Iranian government saying, look, we do have to address some of these concerns. These are some valid concerns. We have to address them. But, you look at what's going on and, the deep state, Trump, they've worked to take down Assad. So Assad is finished. They just took out Maduro. So Maduro, it looks like he's finished. They're obviously trying to go after Iran. They've been trying to go after Iran for a really long time. Netanyahu is here. And literally, basically, Netanyahu gets a deal from Trump to go after the missile program of Iran. It's not nuclear stuff anymore. It's the missile program. Like, do you really think the Israelis can handle that all by themselves? We've seen multiple military aircraft and 224s and Ilyushin 76s all landing inside Tehran, as well as some Chinese aircraft. We've had 6 military aircraft show up all in the last week. Then the protests and then the diplomacy, and you look at everything going down. It's like, okay, are they just walking this into another war? And if they are, okay, how about Iran? This time you finish it. You should never have let Israel off the hook the first time. And some were saying, well, actually, Israel just didn't have a choice because they were, the Iranians didn't have a choice because, they were hurting also. They had to stop the deal. So they did. But the Iran issue is not going to close. It's going to probably solve itself militarily. So did we vote for Trump to get us into that war too? I don't think a lot of people did, to be honest. And we will just have to see now whether or not this actually goes down. Trump was interesting. He was talking about how Mexico is run basically by the cartels. Straight up. He said, look, the president of Mexico is a nice lady, but she doesn't run the country, the cartels do. And you have to wonder, if you're in Mexico, uh, is this next?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people, and we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know. But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico.
Yeah. So as you hear there, he didn't say it's coming through Venezuela. You know what I mean? Venezuela's a different deal. They're just using drugs as cover for that, as far as I can tell. But he didn't mention Venezuela. But he is talking about Mexico. And a lot's coming up. We saw deaths of 300,000. 300,000 people. That's a huge number, guys. We already have problems with the COVID vaccine, killing off a lot of people, making people sterile, dropping the birth rates, etc. But you're losing 300,000 people to basically drugs. And you've got people across the country in various cities that look at drugs as just, hey, social welfare opportunity. Let's just kind of help the drug addicts and steal a lot of money from the various treasuries in the process. So it's like, okay, I don't know if you're going to be able to put a stop to this because I don't know how you do it. I remember a teacher I had, she said, if they're really serious about the war on drugs, they would just start executing everybody, especially the people in the state side. You're CIA and you're found to be doing drugs. Okay. You're not needed anymore. Thank you very much. Here's your bullet. And continue this way. But they don't do that, and they're not going to do that, frankly. But that's kind of what they should be doing. Is if you're going to want to deal with all of this problem, you're going to have to just deal with the source, which comes from within your own organizations, usually the CIA. We do have the name of the project now in Venezuela. It was called Operation Absolute Resolve, and it started on January the 2nd, completed the January 3rd, and they're saying that months of planning went into this. You got Maria Corina Machado on December the 11th. She said, "We will turn Venezuela into the energy, technological, and democracy hub of the Americas. We will host all of you in a bright, democratic, and free country, and it's going to be soon." So she probably knew this was going down, frankly. Where the Russians are going to be on this, I don't know. Where the Chinese will be on this, I don't know. Because with Venezuela fallen, the next regime that probably should fall is Brazil. Brazil, nobody trusts this government in Brazil. I know that the Russians they like it, but for me, I don't trust that government at all. All right, it's The Fetch, everybody. Back with more right after this. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is the Fetch Inside the Eye Live. All right, join us over at Rumble, Inside the Eye Live. Go to the podcast section on Rumble, and you'll find us there. We're about number 9 right now, something like that, 8 or 9, something like that, which is actually okay. We're doing okay. I'd like to see those numbers grow, of course, but that's just going to have to take some time. It's just the way it is. I'm not a big promoter, so it just takes time if that's really the case. So let's run out to the phones real quick because I hear it there. And again, we apologize for the feedback, but welcome to Inside the Eye Live.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. This is Fritz.
Fritz, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sitting here in my car. Today is return day after Christmas.
Yeah, I forgot about
and
those
I'm sitting
days.
here in Farmington, Missouri, which is about 45 minutes from my house. I think I know the answer on Venezuela.
Okay, well, I'm ready for any good input because generally you guys are pretty smart. So what do you got?
Well, you probably know this, but you forgot. Venezuela is the home source of Smartmatic voting machines. Did that come through okay?
Yeah, it came through great. You know, that's an interesting twist.
And I've been reading articles that they have manipulated about 70 elections around the world, including Maduro's.
That is a very interesting twist that I did not link. Honestly, I didn't link that one. I didn't
you
even
can
think about
understand why Trump might he might have a little issue with them.
You know, if that's the case, then a lot of people have an issue with them because you do have this war going on, and none of us wants to see. Let's be honest. If you're a good soul, and there are a lot of good people out there, you don't want to see the planet just digress into this totalitarian morass. And then you got the side that really does want to control the world and turn into a totalitarian shithole, kind of like Starmer in the UK, Netanyahu, frankly, in Israel. So yeah, this is a very interesting angle.
Right, and Trump posted some videos last week of guys testifying in Congress or somewhere who have, inside knowledge on this stuff.
Listening?
So, am I there?
Yes, we're listening. We're listening.
Okay. That's really all I can tell you. You know, there's so much information, it's hard to absorb it all.
Okay. Very well. Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, over and out.
All right, thanks, Fritz. Okay. So yeah, that is an interesting angle here. Yeah, because you're looking at I just did a quick search here, and apparently they've considered it in the White House a national security and foreign policy part of their directives. They're obviously going after Smartmatic. So they're looking at the code. They're looking at some asset freezes. So yeah, it's interesting that Fritz brings that up. Because frankly, I had not thought of that angle, which would be pretty impressive. Because you got a long ways to go, though. Even if you take out your presidents, you got a long ways to go because you're going to have to go in and obviously get power or control over the various internal security networks if you're going to be able to do anything. All right. I'm watching right now my cat, and they're fighting, like they're playing and fighting. Up above here, they want to like play. Kind of cute. I should be videoing that. It'd probably get better watch than me. All right, let's go back out to the phones. 808, free and awake. Hello, welcome to Inside the Eye Live. And be professional because you know the problem.
Well, well, Russian security assistance program greetings to you, Fetch.
Thanks, man. So what's happening?
Well, I just wanted to let you know that we provide excellent security for the nation's just ask.
Hello?
Nobody stands down to U.S. aggression like we do.
Well, okay. You broke up there, probably on your key points, so we didn't catch it.
Well, I'm beginning to see pattern recognition.
Okay.
Would you care to know more?
Yeah, of course. The floor is yours, man.
Well, I'm just noticing a pattern with nations that are defended by Russian assets. You have Iran, Syria, and now Venezuela.
Mm.
And there seems to be no effective defense.
You know, I've thought of the same today. Because Syria did go down. You've got Venezuela going down.
Yes.
And Iran is under a lot of stress right now. Iran has some huge problems because their fearless leader is getting old, so there's going to be a succession battle probably coming up pretty soon. So yeah, it's very difficult for Iran.
They're protesting.
And then the protests apparently are much more spread out socially than the previous ones. This looks like it's more organic than the previous ones, which could be easily attributed to localized, let's say, instigators. But maybe the instigators kicked it off.
Right.
But it looks like it's more organic than people realize. And I don't see a lot of the people like Morandi. Yeah, you know Morandi, the guy Morandi, the professor from Tehran.
Yes.
I haven't seen him at all anywhere the past week saying, oh, this is just, no, don't worry. It's just, he's disappeared from the scene. It's like, dude, what happened to you? Normally you're everywhere on every channel, and now I don't see you anywhere. So it makes me wonder just what is going on inside of Iran.
Right. I have to think, ask a deeper question. Is Russia in on it? Like they provide a false sense of security and they're secretly working with the United States security apparatus?
I think we got to get like X-22 on the air and ask him. You know what I mean? We need X-22 here for that question. Because if we put him on, I'm sure he's got all the answers as to why that's actually happening.
Right. No, I could be totally wrong.
Well, we could just go
some investigation.
Well, I'm sure he's got all of the timestamps of what was posted 6 years ago about how the Russian bear is going to do this, and that's a sign. So, you know what I mean? So just maybe.
But everybody's playing their role. This is a coordinated effort, all operating under this globalist cabal, and Russia has a specific role, and the United States has a specific role, which is world dominance, and Russia is.
If you want to go back to the old Bill Cooper days, the 1990s, late 1990s, it was always, the big theory, the conspiracy theory back then was, that's exactly what's happening. All the countries are playing their roles, and international politics is actually controlled by about 6-7 families type of people, and everybody else is just playing a role, and it's all just one big game.
Apex of the triangle.
Yeah,
they're all in cahoots.
I like to think there's competing interests out there, but to think that they're all in cahoots, that would be a pretty amazing thing, wouldn't it? That would be pretty well. That's alien style power there, dude.
Well, if anything of any significance right? Ultimately, they work together, but they may have their kind of stage show disagreement.
Yeah, I
Right,
mean,
to
we'll
keep
have
the
to see what
deception
happens.
going.
Relative to Venezuela, let's just relax a little bit and see what happens. Who's obviously there's going to be a power vacuum. The U.S. is not going to have that much unless you got boots on the ground. What are you going to be able to do unless you've got payoffs and you bought off the generals or you bought off the security forces? What do you really have on the ground? So let's just wait and see how things play out.
Politicians and gain more control,
Yeah, let's just see. I mean, I'm not
especially over
ready
the
to.
oil.
Yeah, I'm not ready to commit to anything yet. Let's see. You know what I mean? It's not like people are dying to do business with the Americans right now. Most people are trying to get away. Everything in the financial system's weaponized. Um, Everybody understands America's run by Israel. So okay, Israel's not the greatest thing on the menu right now. So I would just wait and see. Personally, let's just wait and see.
Yes, but again, I'll just reiterate: 3 nations have fallen in the space of 1 year: Iran, Syria, and Venezuela. So it suggests some type of coordination at a high level, and we're being deceived.
Well, definitely we will have to just wait and see. We just have to wait and see.
Angle, because Venezuela was heavily involved in that deception.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a revenge move on Trump's part.
Again, I'm a wait and see. I'm not going to state anything because I really don't have any information. I'm not on the inside there. That's not my game. I'm more Middle East focused, so I really don't have any information.
Yeah. Well, food for thought, right?
Food for thought. That's correct.
That's
then
it.
let's see how things play out. All right.
We will see. Later.
We will see. 100%. Thanks so much, dude. All right. All right, everybody. The Rumble, I don't know. It seems to be freezing on my side. I don't know if it's freezing on your side, but it seems to be freezing on my side. We are still going out live fine based on the bandwidth I see here. Everything looks to be just fine. But I see that the Rumble side, again, it could be just my side freezing. I don't want to panic too much here, if you know what I mean, because it's just not what I want to be doing. I don't like to panic. We're still looking like we're doing fine. But who knows? You know what I mean? It looks like it unfroze just now. Okay, great. All right. Excuse me, guys. I've had a very bad cough for about 2 weeks, and I can't get rid of the darn thing. I try. Anyways, the problem we have right now, normally we can go into our feeds, right? And we can get some really good stories really fast, but everything is all about Trump going in and stealing Maduro, kidnapping the guy. It's like, okay, there was a Trump. I did see a tweet this. It went out. It was like talking about apparently Candace Owen and a few other representatives out there made comments that people should not obey the president, and that so Trump put out this True Social saying this is sedition and they should be held to account, and we know exactly what they're saying, and we need to hold like people like Candace Owen to sedition type of charges, that type of thing. And I don't know. Again, everybody is into this destroying free speech mentality as of late. It just doesn't seem to want to stop. Another fascinating story that came out this past week, though, was Zelensky. So Zelensky shows up at Mar-a-Lago, along with, I guess, the head of the mafia, which would be Netanyahu. I assume he's the head, the way everything works out. But Zelensky, continues to push for this, he wants 50 years of guarantees from the United States. I'm like, this guy, and then Trump's like, no, we will give you 50. I'm like, Trump, what do you mean you're going to give him 15 years? Maybe. That's like, the art of the deal. Just ask for too much and be happy with what you get because you were getting nothing to begin with. So it's like, what do you mean you're going to give him 15 years of security? What do you mean? So apparently Trump had talked to Zelensky, said, look, they want you to succeed, but you got to bend a little bit. And Zelensky's like, no, you need to give us 50 years and you need to support us and we need to go on and win the war. And like Trump's like saying, this guy's a freaking idiot. So apparently the CIA now has gone in, brought their own guy, elevated their own guy to be like number 2 in the country. And so maybe, just maybe, Zelensky is on his way out, because if he's not going to get out, Ukraine will be lost. Now, if I'm the Russians, I'm not interested in a deal right now. I want Odessa. Honestly, if I'm Russian, I want Odessa. That's one of my original cities. I want Odessa. And if I can't get Odessa, I'm not interested. So I'm not going to move until I get Odessa. And I'll be patient. I'll be relaxed. I will continue fighting. But I am not stopping till I get Odessa. Plain and simple. If I can't get Odessa, then the war is a failure to me. I want Odessa. And I'm not sure what's going on in the heads of the Russians. Obviously, they want Kherson. They want Zaporizhia. They want Lugansk. They want Donetsk. And I'm saying, okay, but if you don't take Odessa, dude, you might as well say you lost. That's a Russian city. You should take Russia. You should take it back as a Russian nation. Frankly, you should recapture your territory and just take it back. Now, you got Secretary of War talking about, excuse me, Maduro.
Justice all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
See, I'm not sure what the message is they're trying to say here, because it's basically a world order based on violence. Now, I don't know about you, but we've seen what the Americans do across the world, and I'm American, but if you don't agree with us, what do you want to do? You want to deplatform us. You want to sanction us. You want to do all kinds of things to us. It's like, it's almost as if we don't accept your kingship, there's no compromise. There's no room for any alternative opinions, any alternative, what do you say? I guess opinions. I guess that's the best way to put it there. Russia Today has come out now already. And I guess Trump has given his speech. We missed it. We were live as he was talking. And one of the things he's talking about is, again, U.S. oil companies going to Venezuela and start making money for the country. Now, I'm not if he's sure to talk about the United States or if he's talking
As
about
everyone
Venezuela.
knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not.
So as you can see, this has, for people in Latin America at least, this probably has the ring of the Banana Republic days, where the U.S. would go in, replace the leadership, put their own leadership into play, bring in their corporations, exploit the country, basically rape it, rob it. The people aren't going to be any better off, because that's not how U.S. government works. It's not how the U.S. oil companies work. They're kind of like usually involved in genocides around the world. So I just can't see that anything is going to be happening there. But yeah, there's been a press conference. Already RT, Russia Today, has been all over this, releasing information. Now, we've already got photos coming out, allegedly, of course, showing Maduro being walked away by 2 U.S. Special Forces. It looks like maybe Delta Force. I'm not sure who this insignia is. No, it's DEA. This got a DEA insignia on it. So this is DEA. Essentially, it's now circulating online. So it shows pictures of Maduro actually being captured. And then you have, of course, you have Maria Corina Machado. She is basically the president-elect, the choice of the Americans. She's gloating with Don Jr., I believe, Donald Trump Jr., about how much money the Americans are going to be making.
Forget about Saudi Arabia. Forget about the Saudis. I mean, we have more oil. I mean, infinite potential. And we're going to open markets. We're going to kick off the government from the oil sector. We are going to privatize all our industries. Venezuela has huge resources: oil, gas, minerals, land, technology. And as you said before, we have a strategic location, hours from the United States. So we're going to do this right. We know what we have to do.
Yeah, I'm looking at Don in this picture, right? This video. I'm looking at Don. He's like, looks like he's so bored. It's like, oh God, I got to listen to this woman. But really, the model here for corporations and countries is to take the Saudi approach, to take the Russian approach. You just can't privatize it and remove the government, because then you're removing the people. Straight up, you just can't privatize everything. There has to be government ownership within the concessions that are given. In other words, you just can't let the corporations run without the people being involved. The resources belong to the people. And she seems, and I don't know till you see the details, but Karina here, this Machado lady, she seems to be saying, look, we're going to do what the globalists want. We are going to privatize everything and give it up to you guys. And yes, actually, Argentina actually does have more oil than the Saudis. But the Saudis, they have really smart management. I mean, really, really smart management. Probably smarter management than we see down in Latin America, down in Venezuela. But I can't say I'm all for getting rid of the government sector, because at the end of the day, the resources belong to the people also. The people, through their vis-a-vis their government, need to be involved. This idea that you're going to come in and just, privatize everything. No, I actually am not for that. Even though I'm a free market guy, it's not free market when you come in and you use somebody else's military to hand you the assets. That's not free market. You use basically U.S. taxpayer money to acquire the assets for you. And then, of course, it's handed over to you. Okay, why doesn't the cost of this operation, whatever it costs us, then, okay, if that happens, every corporation that's benefiting by this should pay the U.S. taxpayer in spades for the benefit of us basically stealing going and stealing it from the people of Argentina through the governments that they have. Now, we can't, of course, necessarily agree with these governments, but the idea that we used our military to hand over the assets, the oil assets, to the oil companies, what's this? Seriously, what's this?
And American companies are in super strategic position to invest. This country, Venezuela, is going to be the brightest opportunity for investment of American companies, of good people that are going to make a lot of money.
Okay, well, we shall see. As we said, we shall see. That's going to be the theme of the show. It's The Fetch, everybody. Back with more right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back. Final half hour of the show, Inside the Eye Live, intelligent media for the politically aware. Again, coming to you out of Riyadh. We want to say once again, thank you for everybody supporting the network at revolution.radio and also the new platform over at Rumble. We are going to continue to do the Rumble show every week now. That's going to become a staple. We hope we work it through with the technology and such, but it is what it is. Now, what we do is we will edit the Rumble account because it's locally saved here. We will put the edited versions up over at the YouTube channel as an archive. So you can go to Inside the Eye Live on YouTube. I believe that's the channel. Or you can go to Radio ITEL on BitChute, and you will be able to catch these shows then in the edited version. And unfortunately for Rumble, we can't edit it without losing all the details and the stats and stuff. So we're not going to be editing the Rumble account. So it will stay as it is. But we want to thank everybody for supporting the Rumble. A lot of people who know the show, honestly, know Inside the Eye Live. You know that we generally seem to always have technical issues. We don't know why, but we do fix them. And when we fix them, then we continue on with the show. The show must go on, as they say. You can also follow us on social media. We are on Facebook at Dennis Fetcho. Just look for my name. And then also you can look for us on X now. We do have an X account finally at Inside the Eye Live / or straight line, whatever you call that symbol. I don't even know what you call that. The Daily Fetch. And look for really some new exciting stuff coming out soon relative to that. Let's see if I can get rid of you. Yes. Let's see. Yeah. Good old Nick. Nick is everywhere. He's doing a good job virally. People are pushing this guy pretty much everywhere, to be honest with you, which is impressive. You know, he's doing a very good job. Of course, another thing is, guy that's all over the place is Charlie Kirk. He's everywhere in my feeds. People keep clipping this guy out. And so that's kind of interesting because we see a lot of clips coming out from Charlie Kirk. And, of course, we don't want to play them every week because we're not the Charlie Kirk show. But nonetheless, you know, this was a guy that was on the plantation. He was part of the cult of Zionism. And he just didn't understand that once you're part of the cult, you can't leave the cult. And he tried to leave the cult, and it's like, you know, any secret society, you know, if you're part of any secret society, what happens is if you try to break away from that secret society and you have directly or indirectly signed some type of oath to that cult, well, you're not going to be able to get away scot-free. And it's kind of what happened here with Kirk. You know, you just can't break away. People are asking a lot of questions. We have lots of video coming out now about what went on inside of Venezuela for a guy, you know, President Bush, who talks a lot about, or Bush. Yeah, he's basically becoming like Bush, isn't he? But yeah, for a lot of aspects about Trump, he talks about peace. But I think he's attacked something like 7 different countries right now, something to that effect. He's going to town for sure. Then you've got videos of F-35s coming back, landing at Puerto Rico. And, yeah, it's just going on and on. And we had a video stream coming out from Caracas live, pretty much. And my whole feed is just all about Maduro. Surprisingly, not really surprisingly, if you know what I mean, because of what's gone down. This is usually a time we like to bring in Canada a little bit. We have a very big audience up in Canada. And, of course, we have a good audience in Europe. Of course, America is the biggest. We have some in Latin America also. So, yeah, what's going on with you Canadians? I know you got a lot of problems with Carney. You got the great replacement going on, of course, up in Canada, just as we have in pretty much the rest of the West. If you notice, there was a 177-page UN report about literally it's called like the Great Replacement. Now we talked about it like we're like white nationalists, white supremacists, and oh you're racist and xenophobic, and like there's a literally a UN report titled the Great Replacement. It's like a 177-page report. So it's like, geez, there was a streamer, a live streamer in Germany, very attractive young lady. She's obviously woke. And she's going through like this bizarre area. And she's basically the whole point of this, the whole point of the stream was to show that it's okay. It's really okay for women to walk through areas, migrant areas. It's really, all this is fake news. It's fake news. So she's walking along, and literally she got hit in the head twice. Somebody threw objects at her, and hit her first time. She's walking out, kind of stumbling. Then she gets hit again. She's like, "You jerk!" And I'm like, "What do you mean, you jerk? This is how it works." Then in the UK, people are really getting pissed. I know at the immigrant community there in the UK. So there was a video that came out kind of viral now. This Muslim guy basically harassing people. And mind you, I know a lot of Muslims. I'm in a Muslim country, all right? But here it's more civilized, for sure. But this Muslim's making problems in the UK. And the passengers are all just getting pissed off at the guy. So finally, this young British guy comes over and headbutts the guy and kind of half knocks him out. Like, shit the frick up, man. And people don't even wink. It's like, yeah, cool. You know what? We're getting tired of this. In the meantime, Trump is talking about going after Iran, for the protests. If you start shooting the protesters, we're going to go in and we're going to do something. Like, okay, what are you really going to do? Okay, now he went after Maduro. He showed what he can do, right? So, okay, that makes people think, okay, we'll give you that. I'm like, why would you go into Iran? Unless why? Maybe you've got a lot of assets on the ground. You know what I mean? There's a lot of Mossad guys working, and you don't want to get the Mossad people captured, so you may have to go in and protect them. Maybe you don't want to get the Mossad guys executed, so you may have to go in and protect your Mossad assets. I'm thinking that's probably the main reason you want to go. But what about Belgium? Belgium right now is like literally in pretty much a civil war, just as much as what's going on in Tehran. I mean, you have a huge amount of Islamic people in Belgium that are literally waging war against the people. And it's like becoming now a civil war. Okay, so what are you going to do against, let's say, the invading population, Trump? You're going to go in and start protecting the Belgian people? Or you're going to go against the Belgian people? Or you're going to finance the arms for the Belgian people to defend themselves? What are you going to do, Trump? Because we would all like to see what's going to happen here, because the migration issue we know was a planned, literally a planned operation. So, hey, we have to see again how this thing plays out again, but it's like, you don't want it to get too violent here. There was a meeting today, or maybe it was yesterday, between the Russian military and the U.S. military. And what happened was, while Trump is going out, taking out Maduro, okay, Zelensky, which is controlled by CIA, basically, it seems, went out of their way to go after Putin. So I don't know what makes one leader better than the other leader, but the Russian military handed over what they are considered to be irrefutable data recovered from the various strike zones, drones, and they handed it to U.S. military officials in Moscow, and literally saying, look, this conclusively proves that your proxy, Mr. Zelensky, was trying to kill President Putin in the area of Novgorod. And so this, as they're saying this isn't going to end well for Zelensky. So already the CIA is kind of like moved to replace Zelensky. But can you imagine Maduro falls like in one fell swoop to the Americans? Does anybody think for a second the Americans can get away with that with the Russians? You think you can go into China and just capture Xi Jinping and escort them out. You know what I mean? On your aircraft, you think you can do that to the Russians? I guarantee the Russians could probably do that to Zelensky if they really wanted to. Now they're saying only the Americans are this good, but I don't think so. Issues in the UK, of course, are the digital ID. And it's very important that we avoid that in the West. Our governments are essentially run by a bunch of psychopaths, technology punks. We think that they're gods on earth. Woke people. In fact, an interesting comment I heard the other day about the wokeism is there people are now starting to say, as I have said for a long time, the charges of anti-Semitism that Jews keep bringing against people, this idea that, oh, you're a Jew hater, oh, you hate Jews, and oh, you're a Hitler lover, and oh, you're an anti-Semite, and you need to be destroyed, and you know, people are getting sick of it. But what it all points to is that Jews are the ultimate woke assholes. Excuse my language. When you start playing this game where, oh, you criticize me and I'm a Jew, and you need to be deplatformed, it's like you're literally the pinnacle of what wokeism is all about. And it's like the one thing that all of us despise is wokeism. This idea that you're better than us and we're supposed to shut our mouths and we're not supposed to have a take, we're not supposed to have an opinion because you said so. Like, who the hell are you at the end of the day? I mean, literally, who the hell are you? And that goes for everybody out there. Who is anybody to start silencing anybody for anything? I mean, Trump, are you going to go ahead and take out Starmer now because of the oppression going on in the UK right now, which is all very well and documented? Are you going to do anything about that? Somehow, I don't think so. Really, I don't think so. Wow. I didn't know that. In Canada, your parliament only sat for 72 days. 72 days.
Can you imagine if you only went to work for 72 days in a calendar year? What would happen to your paycheck? Apparently, nothing if you're an MP or you work for the Canadian government. With over $500 billion in a federal budget, you have 342 MPs representing 41 million people, and they only sat for 72 days. I'm just wondering, at any
72 days, that's like 2 months, man. 2 months and like, what, 12 days? What the hell you doing up in Canada, guys? Geez, 72 days, man, I want that job. Actually, you know, I don't want that job. But it's like, damn, 72 days. That's pretty impressive, actually. If you can get away with doing just 72 days, that's impressive. You guys are pretty flaky for sure. Pretty flaky for sure. You know, I haven't been on X, but you can follow me at X at x.com, of course, and then Inside the Eye Live, and then also / or / the Daily Fetch. And I post a lot there. Most of it is commenting still. I'm still building up the network there. I got to add more people to get a better feed. Michael, you're like the only guy I see, frankly. You know who you are. You're the only guy I see. So, Secretary Marco Rubio, we all know this guy. He said here, Maduro is not the president of Venezuela, and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of the Cartel de los Soles. I've never heard of them before. A narco-terror organization. I've never heard of them before. And they took possession of the country, and he is under indictment for pushing drugs into the U.S. Whatever, dude. Go after your CIA. You know what I mean? Go after your CIA. How about the Jewish people? I find their logic to be basically crackhead smart. I mean, really crackhead smart. There's this guy by the name of Shlomo. I kid you not. You cannot get more Jewish than Shlomo, okay? And his name is Shlomo Kramer, and he is basically a Jew. He's not an American. He's a Jew, and he's an Israeli Jew, even worse, from what I understand. He runs or is an Israeli cybersecurity billionaire. In other words, he makes his money by stifling and spying on everybody else. Now, if you're familiar with the 42 laws of Ma'at, what those 42 laws of Ma'at tell you is that you should not be involved in any type of eavesdropping. In fact, that's one of the I forget the term, but it's a negative affirmation. I have never eavesdropped. I have not eavesdropped. Jews make their living eavesdropping. But here's this genius telling us how to protect freedom of speech.
Social platforms, we need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online. And
so here's a state that goes out of its way to mass murder people. It wants to know now who you are, where you live. We want to make sure it's you who said this. And this is a country that goes out of its way to not nuke, but let's just say drone strike anybody that has an opinion that they don't like. And he's saying, well, we need to go out there and confirm the identity of people. We're going to have to check the veracity of the statement. And that's an Israeli cybersecurity guy.
Take control over what they are saying based on.
So basically, you have this punk Jew, because that's what he is. He's a punk. He's a dangerous punk, but he's a punk. He's going to take control over what people say. Are you out of your freaking minds? Is this what it means to be Jewish in today's world? Let's take control over what people say. Like, excuse me, but we don't resolve our issues around Jews and their thinking. We have our own way of life. We have our own culture. We have our own sympathies and our own empathies and how we work together as a social society. We don't look at how, gee, Jews don't like what we say. If you don't like it, get out of our countries. So what I mean? But it's like they want to have their country, Israel, and then they want to have our country where they want to control what you say. He's saying it straight up. We need to say this, and he's doing this on a business show. Literally on a business show. We need to take control of the social platforms to control what people say. And it's like, okay, Jew, crack, put them together, logic. Let's just all play Jewish logic here. In order for us to create a better society, we need to control what they say. Oh my gosh.
That ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Yeah, we're Jewish. The government should control because we Jews control the government. Yeah. That's right. The government's got to control everything that you say. And this guy's serious. He's actually got a platform. He's on CNBC, and he's talking about how the government. This is us. We need to control everything. I mean, how can you have a society where everybody has an opinion? Everybody must follow the Jewish way of doing things. The government.
Difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it.
There you go, Jewish logic. I got to play the Bob Tuskin clip because the Bob Tuskin goes, "Well, Dennis, I'm not a Jew." Bob, you're a Jew. He's like, no, I'm not a Jew. I mean, my parents are Jewish, my mother's Jewish, my father's Jewish, but I'm not a Jew. I'm like, okay. This guy, well, if we want to protect the First Amendment, we have to limit it to protect it. Okay. Did this guy come from L.A.? Because there's a lot of crack in L.A. still. Okay. Did he just fly out of L.A. and he like private jets so he could just take the crack with him and like, yeah, we need to control First Amendment so we can keep the First Amendment. Yeah, there's a Jewish logic for you. And you know what? The problem is he's not even American. And he's in an American country telling us how to control our speech, what we can say, what we can't say. And we just send these flakes, billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, go to this type of flake. And then it's like, why are we financing our enemies? Why are we financing people that hate us, that hate our culture, that hate our civilization? Why are we giving our money to these people? Now, we all know the reason why. It's because basically we give the Israelis money, they turn around, buy up our politicians, and then politicians work for Israel. We get that.
Before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity.
Yeah, there you go. We need to do all this authenticity. Hi, welcome back to Inside the Eye Live.
Hey, yeah, it's Ray, man. Just real quick, since you're talking about money, you remember in '92, the gold price was like $3.89 an ounce, and silver was like $5 or.
You know what I
somewhere
honestly
around
remember?
there.
You know what nobody remembers is that silver went up to $50 for a super short time in the around 1980. Or they tried to corner the
Yep.
market. It went up to $50 in 1980. And then, of
Koch
course,
brothers.
they broke up the cartel, and then they shipped, it went back down. But I don't know what it was in 92. But I know gold now is like, what, $3,700, $800 an ounce, troy ounce now? Something like that?
Gold over like 4,500 or
45 now.
4,400. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's up there.
now they're saying in Singapore, silver. But yeah, I mean, I read the newspapers back then.
Yeah, now I think there's a difference. I think a discrepancy in silver prices in the U.S. Like it's $10 cheaper in the U.S. than in Shanghai. Shanghai spot is like 79
But I mean,
American.
do you think it's going to go down?
No. No, because there's so much money in the world from printing so much. The only place you can put it is in commodities. So, okay, you're going to put in commodities. Silver's going to be, of course, benefiting. All the commodities are going to benefit.
And all those AI stations.
That's a
they
different
need
story.
silver.
Yes. You're going to need that, but that's a problem because of the electricity and the water. AI is actually a big
Yeah, and
problem.
Vance.
Yeah, it's a big
Vance
problem.
is a piece of crap. He's all Palantir driven, and he's all about evil.
Yeah, actually, Palantir is kind of evil. So, my point, I don't know for a fact, but I believe we have some people in the table now, which is better than before. You know what I mean? It's better than before, but we still have quite a long ways to go.
Well, let's just pray for the best and hope for the best.
Yeah, well, it's a new year, as we say. Let's see. Let's see. We'll be here every week to comment about what's going on and provide our insights. I'm going to let you go only because we have like 1 minute to go. So, but thanks for the call. And yeah, we're going to let you go. You know what's really good? For instance, Mamdani, okay? He gets elected into New York, and he's the first socialist guy. He's a Muslim guy. One of the first thing he does is revokes the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. 100%. I'm all for that. You know what? How am I going to argue with this guy? Because why are we under this thumb of a Romanian NGO working with local U.S. governments and politicians to create a definition of what is and isn't anti-Semitism, which is being used by law enforcement to start arresting people and silencing people and deplatforming people? Hey, good for Mamdani on that one, man. All right, everybody, that's the show. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you all next week, and look out for more content. See you soon.